Hi, everyone. Welcome to our March Parent Engagement Program Academy. We are so thankful to spend this evening with you, both those in the room and those at home who may be watching this as a recording later. I'm Kylene Dibble. I'm the Executive Director of Parents for Public Schools, and I'm joined tonight by a wonderful guest from Pitt County Schools. We'll let her introduce herself.
I'm Cindy Arriagada. I am the Parent Liaison for Pitt County Schools.
All right. So tonight, Cindy and I are going to spend some time talking with you about 504 plans, IEPs. That's going to be all Cindy. She's the expert on that. She is the parent liaison, and she'll be able to talk a little bit about her role and how a parent liaison can make a difference for you as a parent as you're navigating that 504 and IEP process. From the Parents for Public Schools perspective, we're going to talk a little bit about being a parent advocate and how you can effectively work with your school to build a relationship and to put everybody on the same team with your child. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'll turn it over to Cindy.
Perfect.
All right. So everybody who's watching the recording, give me just a moment to screen share. All right. So as a reminder, Parents for Public Schools does offer three main programs. We have community conversations, we have school tours, and then we have our parent engagement program. And so this year we've been doing workshops, and many of you have come or you've watched them recorded about topics that have really interested you. And so next year in 2022, 2023, we will have the full parent engagement program. And that is an opportunity to learn more about parent leadership in education, one full day each month. And that is a cohort style. So this year has been anybody and everybody, come to as many as you want, as few as you want. Next year is a cohort style. It's the same group of people once a month, learning everything you can about being an advocate for public education. So tonight, we're going to give you a little bit of a sample of some of the material that we would share in our leadership and advocacy module in that parent engagement program. So this does come from our leadership and advocacy module. We're going to address the needs of creating effective communication processes that engage everyone, the parents, the students, the teachers, the guidance counselors, the school administrators, put everybody on the same team. And this comes from our communication and engagement and education strand of our parent engagement program. So we are gonna not do the entire thing because you'll have to sign up for the parent engagement program to get the whole thing. But we are gonna do a little bit of the presentation this evening for those of you that are in the room, as well as those of you who are watching recorded. So just to begin with, we want to talk about the fact that being an advocate can be a noun. So it can be a person who advocates on behalf of someone else, a person who speaks up on behalf of someone who may not be able to speak for themselves or who may need someone to speak with them. And that would be an advocate. But of course, advocate be a verb. We can go and advocate. We can plead in favor of someone or be in support of someone and the needs that they have. All right. So you might think about some of the things that you've done to be an advocate. And here at Parents for Public Schools, we really do believe that you as a parent are your child's best advocate. You are the best person to advocate for your child because you know your child like no one else does. You know their strengths, you know what they like, what they dislike, and you are the person who can share that with those around them. I'm skipping through a few of these because we're not going to do all the activities tonight that we would normally do in our parent engagement program. All right, so we're going to get prepared for advocating, and we're going to go to, I have Deborah Brady, if some of you don't know her, she's our site coordinator, and she's helping us flip through some of our slides this evening. I think we're going to go to slide 17. There we go. So it is true. Parent education advocates meet with those who have information or power. Let's be real, parents, meeting with administrators, teachers, guidance counselors, those who are in charge of implementing plans for our children at school can feel a little intimidating. We recognize that those people have a lot of information. They know the process, they've been doing the process, and it might be the first time for us. And that also gives them a level of power. And so they show up prepared. But what's really important is that we do the same thing. So parent education advocates are going to go and meet with folks who have the information and have the power, but we're going to show up with as much information as we can so we can all operate from the same place and truly operate as a team. All right, so a few things that we want to do when we are going to be advocating for our child to receive specifically services in the Exceptional Children's Department. Now, this can also work for anything else. It can work for a behavior meeting. It can work for a meeting to help the teachers understand something going on with your family. But tonight, we're going to specifically focus on exceptional children. Go back, sorry. It's okay. So before the meeting, if you've requested it or the school has requested it, doesn't matter. Before you go, make sure everyone is clear about why you're meeting. Exactly what are you meeting to discuss? And then do your research. So you're going to do that tonight. If you're having an IEP meeting, you're going to watch this video before you go, and you're going to learn from Cindy exactly what an IEP is and how a child qualifies for it. But you're going to understand the issue that you're going into the meeting for. And then you're going to make sure you have a bit of a toolkit. So some notes to write on, some information with you, prepared questions, things you'd like to ask, and prepared requests, things that you're really hoping to get and look for. Have those written down before you go. Now, one of the most helpful things can be to take someone with you. And it's often really helpful to take someone who may not be related to your child. They have a little bit of a distance. It gives them a little bit of an emotional distance so that they aren't quite as connected and they're able to really process everything that happens in that meeting. I often equate this to those of you who had a newborn. When you would go to the doctor on day 2 of the newborn's life and you were so tired and so emotional, and it's hard to remember everything that the doctor is saying. So it's great to take a buddy with you to take notes, and you leave and you say, oh, what was I supposed to remember about these bumps on their face or whatever it might be with your newborn. It's the same thing with your child now. You may not walk away from the meeting remembering absolutely everything that was said, but if you take someone with you who can be a little bit emotionally distanced and they can take notes and they can help you remember afterwards, hey, yeah, this was what they were saying about the next meeting that you're going to have. And of course, you'll remember a lot of that too, but it's great to have that extra person. So think about taking somebody with you. And then during the meeting, it's really important that everyone at the beginning of the meeting gets on the same page. So you want to state your intended purpose and outcome. So maybe we're here to discuss my child and the changes in their IEP, or we're here to discuss my child and the possibility of setting up an IEP. But it's also great when you're stating that purpose to also be able to say, we're here to work together as a team. We want to make sure that everyone is able to know that we're all here to be a team together. We're not here to work against each other. Just say, I'm here so that we can work together as a team to be able to support my child as we think about options for an IEP plan. But really, that first purpose is to create a team for your child. And then whatever you're there for becomes the next purpose. Obviously, you've already brought your pen and your paper, so you're going to take notes. Stay focused. We care so much about our children. And so as parents, it can be hard to stay completely focused, and it can be easy to go off on a bit of a tangent. It's really important to stay focused and stay on the topic that we're there for. There might be other things we need to discuss. Those can happen at another meeting. But what we're there for that day is what we want to really stay focused on. And then we may need to restate the purpose. If things do start to slide a little bit to the left or the right and we get off track a little bit, just restate the purpose and bring it back. it's really important to keep your comments to the issue at hand. So if you've had a problem with something else that happened at the school, that's not what we're bringing up today. Today, we're bringing up the exact reason that you're in that meeting. Now, hopefully, everything's going to go exactly like you need it to in that meeting. And you're going to feel heard and listened to, and there's going to be a team approach. In the event that you feel like maybe needs were not met that day, it's okay to go to a next level. So if you're meeting with a teacher and you feel like maybe someone else should hear your story, ask to talk with the guidance counselor or the vice principal. If you still feel like you need some support, ask to talk to the principal. Then after that, you might think about student services or the Exceptional Children's Department at the county office. You probably don't want to start by calling the superintendent after the teacher. So if you're not happy with what's happening, or you just feel like you need to share with your story with someone else, go up that chain, because chances are if you go to someone much higher, they're going to send you back down to the person you stopped with. So make sure that you've talked to each person along the way before going all the way to the top. But that way, if you do go all the way to the top, you've got your documentation that you've done that. All right, and so just remember throughout that whole meeting, if not you, then who? So it can be really intimidating to meet with a school about your child's needs and about making sure that their needs are met. It can also be incredibly empowering. It can be a wonderful relationship opportunity that you and all of these people at your child's school develop a team, and sometimes even with your child. Your child can have a say and can speak up and say things that they're struggling with. And they can give a voice to this process, and they can be part of their own team. But you want your child to see that you are their best advocate. And as uncomfortable as that may be, we hope that when we follow some of these tactics and some of these relationship building tools, that we're able to better build that relationship and that advocacy goes smoother, and our children have seen that example. So it might be scary, but it's worth it. So we know that children who hear their parents speaking positively about them feel valued. So this is an opportunity for your child to see that you value them, and also that the people that they are with each day value them, their teachers, their counselors, their administrators, that they are so valued by the multiple adults in their lives. And when they feel valued, they begin to feel like they can become advocates for themselves. So they may be in class and have an issue come up related to their IEP or their 504, and they feel confident to go up and talk to the teacher about it and ask for some help because they've watched you do that for them. So it's an amazing way to help our children become advocates for themselves when we are advocates for them. And so we know that middle and high school children who have been involved in their parents' advocacy efforts while in elementary school will see it as normal behavior to ask for help. So it doesn't become something that they're afraid of to ask for help. They've seen this their whole life, and then they begin to ask for help on their own because that's seen as such a normal behavior. So just always remember that I'm a parent. We all know our children may not listen to every single thing we say, but they will see everything you do. And when it comes to being an advocate for their needs in their school, their learning opportunities, they will see that you stand up for them and that you are coming to the table, and they'll see how you do that. They will see if you show up and you do that with lots of anger and lots of animosity, and that is how they will begin to behave. They will also see if you do this from a teamwork approach and you show up and you say, hey, I'm so happy we're all on the same team. I'm so glad for us to work together for the success of my child. And then they will approach life like that, not just when working on addressing their needs, but when they are advocating for their friend, when they are advocating for issues that they believe in, they will do it from a relational standpoint because they saw that from you. So that is just a very small snippet. If you were with us in the parent engagement program in that cohort style, We would do this whole module in about an hour and a half. We have lots of activities that we would do, lots of conversational pieces. But because we're presenting to a group tonight and we're recording, we're just doing the presentation portion. That I encourage you to apply for the parent engagement program. Applications will be out after April 25th. So I encourage you to apply for that and join us in the fall of 2022 through the spring of 2023 to learn more of these types of tips and connect with other parents who are also learning how to be an advocate for their children. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Be patient with me, and I'm going to turn it over to Cindy, who is going to talk to us a little bit about what an IEP is, what a 504 is, and how to be engaged with both of those, as well as how to utilize her services as a parent liaison. All right, I'll turn it over to you, Cindy.
Hey, welcome to tonight, Families and Schools Working Together, a Positive Experience for All. So we will go with our second slide. And what is a parent liaison? A parent liaison promotes advocacy for families, students with needs. A primary responsibility is directing parents to appropriate resources and services with Pitt County Schools, and to be a liaison to the community organizations. In this role, the liaison can assist families with issues related to care and or education of children with special needs who receive special education services, and guide parents to the appropriate person and or agencies within Pitt County Schools. So that was a mouthful, so I'm just going to break it down for you. So as a parent liaison, I help with resources, services, community organizations. I listen, I guide, and I support you. So when Kylie was talking about, you have an issue, you want to call someone, I'm a good person to call because I will help you get the answer you need. I might not have the answer right away, but I can help you get that answer. So usually I would be the next step. You could call and I could help, guide you, or I can help get you that information that you need, and we'd go from there. So students with disabilities receive appropriate educational services as a result of three primary laws, which is the 504, and it's the American Disabilities Act, and the Individuals Disability and Individuals Disability Act. So that's what we're under. That's how our laws are governed through them. So a child with disabilities is someone who has an intellectual disability, inherent impairment, including deafness, a speech or language impairment, a visual impairment, including blindness, emotional disturbance, deafness, orthopedic impairment, autism, a traumatic brain injury, other health impairment, a specific learning disability, a deaf blindness, multiple disabilities, and a developmental disability from age 3 to 7. So who qualifies for a 504? Anyone who has a physical or mental impairment, which is sustainably limits one or more major life activities, anyone who has a record of such impairment, or anyone who's regarded as having such impairments. So we're protected under the section 504. All students with a disability are protected from discrimination in elementary, secondary, or post-secondary schools. An equal opportunity to benefit from education as students without disabilities. Equivalent, not identical service or programs must be provided, and reasonable accommodations. So an IEP versus a 504. So honestly, it could be summed up by one sentence, and let me go for another one. An IEP provides specialized instruction for students in grades K to 12, while a 504 plan can serve students K to 12 and college levels. So what is an IEP? An IEP is an individualized educational program. An IEP is a legal document for child with a disability outlining specialized education instruction by creating goals, modifications, and accommodations. So how do you become eligible for an IEP? You have to have an educational diagnosed disability that adversely affects the child's educational performance and requires specially designed instruction or related services. So in order for us to start the IEP process, we start with a referral and then an evaluation, and then comes the eligibility and the IEP in placement, and we go from there. And like I said earlier, I would be a good resource for you to contact if you have any issues with, if you've gone to an IEP and you feel like you didn't get your answer, or your kid has an IEP and it's not getting the services that you think they should be. Please call me. My number is on the screen, 252-695-7961, and I can help you from there.
All right, thank you so much to Cindy, and thank you to those of us who joined us in person, as well as those who will watch this recorded. We will be able to turn it into a YouTube, so you can reference this anytime you need to, whether you need it now or maybe years from now, you realize that your child might need to have a 504 or an IEP. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, be sure to keep an eye out for the application for the cohort parent engagement program, which will meet on the third Wednesday per month. It's an 8:30 to 2:30 program. Lots of businesses give time off for it. So keep that in mind. That will start in September of 2022 and go through May of 2023. It's a great opportunity to spend a whole day each month really learning all of the facets of public education that leave you well equipped, well knowledgeable, and empowered to advocate for your child. Thank you again for joining us. Everyone have a great night.